always a reset, so that if what was not so good last week, hopefully through our obedience and resting, things can be better for this week to come. As our moray of this house always says, that this word is for everybody. So no matter where you're at, no matter where you feel like you're going, he says that he will cover everybody from east to west. So you're not too low that he can't grab you. You ain't too far that he can't. Too lost, he can't find you. You ain't in too much darkness that he can see you. So wherever you are, this word is for you. So as I rarely say, but I think I really mean it this week, I don't plan to be for you long. All right. So today we'll be talking about, the topic of the day is choose a side. Choose a side. You're either the problem or you're the solution. Choose a side. I got this working here. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not working. That's all right. It's okay. No hurts. It's Shabbat. I ain't no rush to do nothing. All right, there we go. So our key verse for today will be Joshua or Yehoshua 24:15. I have it up on the screen for you in the complete Jewish Bible version. It says, if it seems bad to you to serve Adonai, then choose today whom you are going to serve. Will it be the gods of your ancestors? Will it be the gods your ancestors served beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living? As for me and my house, I will serve Adonai. So quickly, because I'm a history buff and I just like history, we'll quickly read about who Joshua or Yehoshua was, and exactly how he set this thing up for the children of Israel to worship the Elohim of Mount Sinai and actually be a righteous remnant, a righteous group of people. Because like no other time in history, the Israelites of this time, in Joshua's time, right after Moses' death, was actually a righteous people, believe it or not. So Joshua was born as Hosea ben Nun in Egypt in the year 2406 from creation. So if you're ever wondering, why are we in 57 whatever and this world's in 20,000, we count from creation. All right. So like Moses, he was hidden in the Nile after birth to escape Pharaoh's decree that all newborn Hebrew males be drowned in the river. For 40 years, he was Moses' faithful disciple who did not budge from his master's tent, which means he was always learning. He was always soaking in. All right. In 1312, he was one of the 12 spies dispatched by Moses to scout the land of Canaan in preparation for its conquest by the children of Israel. It was then that Moses added the letter Yod to Yehoshua's name, changing it to Joshua. God will save. So Hosea meant that he will save. So denoting a mankind, denoting human flesh. So Moses changed his name from man, to God will save. So even then, early on, Moses was trying to shift the mindset of the people that it's not a man who can save you. It's not a man. I can't save you. Moses, I know you guys love me, revere me, all that stuff. I can't save you. Only God can save you. Hashem alone will be able to save you. As a prayer and empowerment that God shall save you from the plot of the spies. Joshua was one of the 2 spies who brought a positive and encouraging report of the promised land and tried to contradict the efforts of the other 10 spies to dissuade the people from entering the land. Oh, went too far. Upon Moses' passing in 1273, Joshua succeeded his master as the leader of the people of Israel. Under his leadership, they crossed the Jordan River on Nisan, the 10th day. For 7 years, Joshua led the people in battle, defeating 31 kings and conquering their cities and territories, which comprised the bulk of the land west of the Jordan. Moses had conquered the lands on its eastern bank before his passing. For 7 years after that, Joshua oversaw the processes of dividing the land amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you read the book of Joshua, a bulk of that is just, Judah, you get this, Issachar, you get this, and so on and so forth. And allocating a portion to each family, he passed away on the 26th of Nisan in 2516 at the age of 110 years young. In addition to his roles as leader and warrior, Joshua was the second link to the chain of the transmission of the Torah. So it went from Moses, it went from Joshua, receiving it from Moses and passing it on to the judges who succeeded him. So we'll get back to that in a second, talking about the transmission of the Torah, teaching the Torah. We'll get back to that. So back to our key verse. So that's a little bit about Joshua. So knowing that about Joshua, now we see the verse again. If it seems bad to you to serve Adonai, then choose today whom you are going to serve. Will it be the gods of your ancestors, the gods your ancestors served beyond the river, or the gods of the Emori in whose land you are living? As for me and my household, we will serve Adonai. So this is kind of like Joshua's last breath blessing to the people, just as when Jacob died and he gathered all his sons, just as Abraham and others would die and bless their sons in death. This is kind of Joshua's last words to the people of Israel. So before he even says this, he makes this grand case for Yah. So he reminds the people, you need to serve Yah and not other gods. So if you read Joshua 24, he lists all these things that God has done. He says he increased the seed of Abraham. He sent Moses and Aaron to your fathers in Egypt. He brought your fathers out of Egypt. He destroyed their pursuers. He brought you into the desert where you received a cleansing in culture and true religion. He protected you from the curse of Balaam. He gave you the land he promised your fathers, and you ate well and lived well. And the list goes on and on and on. So the question is, why make this grand case for serving Yah? So some of these people, not all of them, because some of them we know died in the wilderness, but some of these people as little bitty kids got to walk across and on dry land, not just the Red Sea, but also the Jordan. They got to see what happened to Balaam. They got to see the walls fall at Jericho. All right, they got to see the defeat of Jericho. They got to see the defeat of Ai. They got to see the conquest and the Most High going before them and the angel going before them and protecting them and watching over them and all these different things. So why do I need to make a case for a God who you've already seen do all these wonderful and awesome things? Because there was a huge shift in how they saw religion on the other side of the Jordan. Right? As well as how the tribes in Canaan expressed spirituality opposed to how Elohim at Mount Sinai wanted to be worshipped. How do we know this? Let's look at some scripture. I'll get Deuteronomy 12, 1 through 11. Jeremiah, if you can get for me Deuteronomy 12, 31. Shad, if you can get for me Leviticus 18, 1 through 5. Yael, if you can get for me Leviticus 20, 22 through 23. And Nina, if you can get for me Exodus 23 and 24. Now I'll start with Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 1 through 11. Deuteronomy chapter 12, 1 through 11. So remember, we're looking at the Most High, and he doesn't want to be worshipped like these other gods. There's this shift in mindset when it comes to worshiping a god. So Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 1 through 11, it says, these are the statutes and the judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land which the Yah Elohim of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods upon the high mountains, upon the hills, and under every green tree. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the name of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto Yah your Elohim, but unto the place which Yah your Elohim shall choose out of all their tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithe and your heave offerings and your hand and your vows and your freewill offerings and the firstlings of your herds and of all your flocks. And there ye shall eat before Yah your Elohim, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hands into, and ye and your household wherein Yah thy Elohim has blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man whosoever is right in his own eyes. You can't do what you want to do anymore. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yah your Elohim giveth you. But where ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Yah your Elohim giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety. Then there shall be a place which Yah your Elohim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, your heave offerings, your hand, and all your choice vows, which ye vow unto Yah. Who has Deuteronomy 12:31?
Deuteronomy 12:31. You shall now worship Yah your Elohim in that way. For every abomination to Yah, which he hates, that they have done to their gods, where they burnt their sons and even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods.
So we see that every other nation outside of the nation of Israel, in their form of worship, in their form of spiritual awakeness, or whatever their spiritual expressions, the Most High hates it, because they do everything that is considered an abomination to the Most High. And we know abomination means something that he hates. So when he looks at the other nations and the way that they interact with their gods and their spirituality, he says, I don't like that. Don't do me like that. All right. Leviticus 18:1-5.
All right. Vayikra 18.
Yeah.
1-5. All right. And it says, and the Lord spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am Yah your Elohim. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments, and keep my ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yah.
So we see once again, he's making a shift in the mind of the people. Don't do me like them other people do their gods. I'm different. I'm holy. I'm set apart. So if I'm holy and set apart, I cannot be worshiped in the same manner that these other gods are being worshiped in. All right, Leviticus 20:22-23.
Leviticus 20:22-23. You are to observe all of my regulations and rulings and act on them, so that the land to which I am bringing you will not vomit you out. Do not live by the regulations of the nation which I am expelling ahead of you.
He said, don't live by what?
Do not live by the regulations of the nation which I am expelling ahead of you. Because they did all these things, which is why I detested them.
So don't live like these people, because the reason they're getting kicked out is because of how they chose to worship their gods. Which is why I had in conversation with my mother the other day, and I forgot how we got on this, but I said that I'm a law-abiding citizen all the days of my life. Not the laws of this land. I care less about the laws of America. I care about this place. The scriptures say this is the place of Babylon, and it's going to fall. So why would I choose to follow in the laws of a place that at some point going to fall and burn? I care nothing about these laws. I care about the laws of the scriptures. That's what I follow. So I don't care where you at, where you listening to this at. I don't care if you're in America. I don't care if you're in Europe. I don't care if you're in Because if they laws start to contradict the laws of Torah, then what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So I don't pledge no allegiance to no flag. I ain't pledging no allegiance to no government system. I'm pledging my allegiance, my love, and my adoration, my devotion to Elohim, who created this world, and his Torah, which he had written and gave to the prophet Moses, and the Torah, which came down in flesh and lived, and we know him as Yahshua HaMashiach. That's my devotion. All right. Exodus 23 and 24.
Shemot
Yeah.
23:24. You must not bow down to their gods or worship them. Do not imitate their practices. Instead, demolish them and smash their sacred pillars to pieces.
Said, do not do what now? Don't imitate their practices. Don't bow down to their gods. Isn't it funny that a lot of us, whether we came from the Christian vernacular or a Buddhist background or a Hindu background or a Muslim background, that they imitate a lot of these Eastern ideas of God that ain't a part of Shem now. Shem is an Eastern man, but they continue to copy off of the worship of Nimrod over and over and over and over again. We even see it in the Roman Catholic Church. And if you Protestant, you Roman Catholic too, whether you know it or not. So we see the practices that he said, don't do this. But for some reason or another, we believe that these scriptures ain't talking to us because for some reason, if they ain't from Matthew to Revelation, they don't matter to some of y'all.
Come on now.
But if he said, don't do it, don't do it. Because he also said that he don't change. So if he said don't do it way back in, what year was that? 1273. He ain't changed his mind in 2021. It's the same. If they couldn't do it then, you can't do it now. So what was the shift? And we need to make a shift today. For some reason, we shifted a little bit, but for some reason we got off. And we right back in the same situation where these people were in the book of Judges. But the surrounding nations sacrificed to their gods to get something. They needed something to enhance life, so they sacrificed. In this new way, Yah wanted them to sacrifice not to get something, but to rid yourselves of something, sin, or to celebrate what has already been given, which is why he keeps reminding you, I am the God who brought you up out of Egypt. I did that for you. I'm the God who brought you into this new land, gave you milk and honey. I did that for you. I cursed and defeated Balaam. I did that for you. I did that for you. So don't come to me sacrificing because you want something, because I already did my job. Now it's time for you to do your job. So sacrificing to Yah does not get you something to enhance your life, but it helps you better serve Yah. So me sacrificing to Yah, sacrificing in prayer, sacrificing in fasting, sacrificing in my time, it gets me close to him. So I can be in the meeting place. So I can be at that symbolic place where the wings of the cherubim meet, and I can look at him and meet with him and commune with him and be in close proximity with him. That's why I want to sacrifice. That's why I want to worship. I don't come into worship seeking to get from him. I want to give to him because he already gave so much to me. So we are to serve Yah. We are not to be served by him. So when we're talking about idols and false gods, they expect those gods to serve them because they were the ones who made them. So if I am the creator of an idol, I formed it and fashioned it by my own hands, as Jeremiah would say, they ain't even gods. They're formed and fashioned by your hand. You got to wipe them off. You got to wipe the dust off of them. When they rust, you got to go polish them up. What kind of God is that? It's a weak God. So I'm not served by my God because my God created me. I serve him. There we go. So who was the primary god of Canaan? It was a cat by the name of Baal. All right. And this is interesting. So this is a picture of Baal who's about to sacrifice a child. And he's holding the child, and he's going to feed the child, and the child is being fed by him, because Baal is this gender whatever thing, and we ain't gonna get into all that. It's not a sermon for another day. But that's what he represents. Also the Baphomet, who was male, female, all that in one. All right. So this Baal, and he said, do not. Was that not the warning? If you're going to worship me, you can't look like that. You can't do that. You cannot mimic other gods. This is a picture of the Madonna and the child of who the world may say is Jesus in most Catholic churches and some mainstream Protestant churches. Just notice the similarity of the images there. I'll leave that there for you to see. There you go. What God are you really worshiping? So how was Baal worshipped? Baal's worshipers appeased him by offering sacrifices, usually animals such as sheep or bulls. Some scholars believe that the Canaanites also sacrificed pigs, and that God prohibited his people from eating pork in part to prevent this horrible cult from being established amongst them. At times of crisis, Baal's followers sacrificed their children, apparently the firstborn of the community, to gain personal prosperity. This ain't changed today. It's not changed today. A lot of these people who are rich, you 80 years old, you've been in Hollywood, you've been in these mega churches for 50, 60 years, and you still look 30-something years old, you sacrificing kids. You're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing to get that prosperity, to get that fame, because you ain't getting it through the Torah. So you're getting it through serving other false gods. The Bible called this practice detestable. So if it was same then, it's the same now. You ain't following Torah, you getting prosperity and you gaining fame and you getting success somewhere outside of these scriptures, you're detestable. God specifically appointed the tribe of Levi as a special servants in place of the firstborn of the Israelites. So they had no excuse for offering their children. The Bible repeatedly, the condemnation of children's sacrifice shows God hated it, especially among his people. Do we sacrifice to get stuff from Yah, or do we exercise faith and obedience to his Torah? Do we sacrifice to get stuff from him, or do we just exercise faith and obedience? Deuteronomy 11, I'm already there. So Deuteronomy 11:13 through 28. Deuteronomy 11:13 through 28. And it reads, 13. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yah your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in the due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that you mayest gather in thy corn, and thy wine and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then Yah's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heavens, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not ye her fruit, and lest ye perish quickly from off the good land that Yah giveth you. Therefore shall ye lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them to your children. We're going to get to that later. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in the house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou rise up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorstep of thy house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied in the days of your children in the land which Yah sware to your fathers to give them, as the days of the heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love Yah your Elohim. You see how keeping the commandments is directly connected to loving Yah. So to walk in all of his ways and to cleave unto him. Then will Yah drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations, mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness of Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you. For Yah your Elohim shall lie the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he has said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if ye obey the commandments of Yah your Elohim, which I command you this day. And a curse, if ye will not obey the commandments of Yah your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known. So you're only cursed when you go after gods that ye do not know. So we got to know intimately a God or Elohim at Mount Sinai. Any other God outside of that, any other form of worship outside of that, we don't know them. We shouldn't be practicing in that stuff. So you wondering why your neighborhood is jacked up. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. There's a big old church on every doggone corner. You know what the problem with Memphis is, though? It's like last in every single city. It's got the highest crime rate usually in America. It's the poorest city of its size. The education system is horrible. The baby mortality rate is as the same as a third world country. The government is highly corrupt. And some of them, our last mayor, I believe he was in cahoots with the gangs. Because the first thing he did was dismantle the gang force in Memphis, the police gang force. So that's the kind of city that I live in. But yet Memphis is one of the cities that has more churches per capita than any other city. What's the problem with that picture? Got a whole bunch of churches, got a whole bunch of people worshiping on Sunday, but ain't nothing changing. Come on. Shouldn't I tell you something? Yes, sir. Shouldn't I tell you that the God you worshiping on Sunday ain't the God of this book? He ain't hearing you. He said, if you don't follow this Torah, your prayers are an abomination. I don't even like to hear you pray. So are you following? Are you following this? Baal? You following the Madonna and the child? Are you following Yah? Who are you following? Go ahead. Who's your God? Go ahead. Joshua said, as for me and my house, we gonna serve the Most High. So I don't know about your house, but I'm going to serve the Most High. I'm going to follow the Torah. I'm going to believe in Yeshua as the Messiah, the one to come. Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. He's both of them, if anybody was wondering. 1 Samuel, somebody give me 1 Samuel 15:22. 1 Samuel 15:22. All right, Jeremiah. 1 Samuel 15:22.
1 Samuel 15:22. So Samuel said, has Yah as greater delight is in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Yah? Behold, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed than the fat of rams.
So it's better for you to be obedient and follow his Torah than sacrifice. So you sacrificing your time and your space and your money, you helping out the poor and the needy, all those things are good and great. And they some of this stuff in the scripture. Some people think they're really, really nice people. Some of the things in the scripture. They go to the orphanages, they give their money to nonprofits, and they see somebody on the street, they give them money, all this other good stuff, and they go into the urban areas and they help pick up trash, and they talk to the people as if this is like a zoo, and oh my God, I've come from the suburbs into the urban area and I've never seen this before. Oh my goodness. And you think you're a good person. But you know what Yah calls you? Detestable. Because you serving another God and you ain't following Torah. All that sacrifice don't mean nothing if you're not obedient to the Torah. What does it mean? All that sacrifice means nothing if you have not adopted the character of Yeshua. You're doing all this giving of your time, giving of your money, sacrificing of your space, but you got a stank attitude all the time. You talking about people behind their back. Every time somebody really asks you to do something that you don't want to do, now all of a sudden you don't want to do it. But when it's convenient for you, when it makes you look good, you want to do it. What God you serve? You choose a side. So what was the people's response? Because we see all through Scripture that I may have wrote that down wrong too, but we'll see. We see all through Scripture that when the people of Israel are presented with a challenge to serve the Most High, it's like, nah, either it's, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and in the very next chapter, they ain't doing it. Or like in Jeremiah, it's like, hey, let's go back to the old past. And they're like, nah, I'm straight. I ain't doing that. I don't know what you're talking about. So what was the response of the people in Joshua? So we're gonna look at Joshua 16 through Joshua 24, 16 through 33. Answered and said, God forbid that we should forsake Yah to serve other gods. For Yah Elohim, it is he that brought us up here, that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, which did those great signs in our sight and preserved us in all the way wherein we went and among all the people through whom we passed. And Yah drave out from before us all the people, even the Amorites which dwelt in the land. Therefore will we also serve Yah, for he is our Elohim. And Joshua said unto the people, ye cannot serve Yah, for he is a holy Elohim. He is a jealous Elohim, and he will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. If ye forsake Yah and will serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you. After that he hath done you good. And the people said unto Joshua, nay, but we will serve Yah. And Joshua said unto the people, ye are witnesses against yourselves, that ye have chosen, and the Yah you Yah to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. Now therefore put away, said he, the strange gods. So obviously, as they said, we gonna serve them, we witnesses, man, somewhere in the camp was some strange idols, because he said put them away. So apparently they still had them. So he's reminding them, put away them strange gods which are among you, and incline your heart unto Yah, Elohim of Israel. And the people said unto Joshua, Yah Elohim we will serve, and his voice we will obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God, and he took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of Yah. And Joshua said unto all the people, behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it hath heard all the words of Yah, which he spoke unto us. It shall be therefore unto you, lest you deny your Elohim. So remember, they said he's our Elohim. So now Joshua saying, you show right, that's yours now. So Joshua let the people depart, every man into his inheritance. And it came to pass after these things that Joshua, son of Nun, was the servant of Yah, died being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Serah, which is in the Mount Ephraim on the north side of the hill of Gaash. And Israel served Yah all the days of Joshua. Isn't that rare? And all the days of the elders, isn't that rare, that overlived Joshua, and which had known all the works of Yah that he had done for Israel. And the bones of Joshua, with the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, which the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, buried they in Shechem in a parcel of ground which Jacob bought of the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, from 100 pieces of silver. And it became the inheritance of the children of Joseph. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died, and they buried him in a hill that pertained to Phinehas, his son, which was given him in Mount Ephraim. So we see the response of the people were good, and they came through on their promise. They continued to serve. They actually chose a side. All right. Sounds like an end to a great story. We can praise God, clap, shout, hallelujah, and get on up out of here. But something happened. Something went wrong because now we're here. So if that was the always, we would still be in Israel. We would still have a temple, all those good things, right? But something went wrong. So what went wrong? Let's go to Judges right after all this stuff, right? Y'all been doing good. Been doing real good. Now all of a sudden, Joshua dies, the high priest is dead, and now we get to Judges chapter 2. Judges is one of the saddest books in all of Scripture. So Judges, verses 6 through 23. Judges chapter 2, verses 6 through 23. When Joshua, and this is kind of another, like a summary. So, and when Joshua had left the people, when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man into his inheritance to possess the land. So that's where we left off in the book of Joshua. So this is like this is what happened. This is like the background story between, his death and Eleazar and all these people. It says, and the people served Yah all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had been had seen all the great works of Yah that he had did in Israel. And Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of Yah, died being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnathris, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, and the Mount of Ephraim on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yah, nor yet the works which he had done in Israel. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yah, nor the works which he had done in Israel. The children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yah and served Balaam. And they, Balaam, I think I'm saying that right. Balaam, yeah, I said that right. It's hard reading the 1611 sometimes. See, they try to pronounce words for you when they just spit it out. And they forsook Yah, the Elohim of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed after other gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yah in anger. And they forsook Yah, and served Baal and Ashtaroth. And the anger of Yah was hot against Israel, and he delivered them unto the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them unto the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of Yah was against them for evil, as Yah had said, and as Yah had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. See, it's a funny thing that they didn't know Yah, but Yah knew them. He didn't forget what he told them either. Nevertheless, Yah raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandment of Yah, but they did not so. And when Yah raised up judges, then Yah was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented Yah because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass when the judges died that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way, i.e., they were stiff-necked. And the anger of Yah was hot against Israel. And he said, because this people has transgressed. We learned about sin, transgression, and iniquity last Shabbat. We'll kind of go through that again today. But they transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice. I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died. That through them I may prove Israel whether they will keep the way of Yah to walk therein as their fathers did keep it or not. Therefore, Yah left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them in the hand of Joshua. So it's interesting there as we read it. He said, you know what? I ain't going to drive these people out. I'm going to leave the temptation right there in front of you. Because if you really love me, it shouldn't matter where you are. It shouldn't matter what other gods other people are serving. But if you love me, you'll know me and you'll keep my commandments no matter what. So our prayer, especially in this evil nation, should not be, oh yeah, drive out all these false gods out of America. But no, yeah, give me the strength in the midst of all of this foolishness to continue to follow and to worship you. Yah, give my family members strength in the midst of all this foolishness, in the midst of all of these temptations, in the midst of all of these false gods and these idols and everything else that's pulling you from one way to another. The sins, the iniquities, the transgressions, which people in this country make sound so good. Do you live your best life all after they flesh? Carnal people who don't know the spirit. We asking for Yah to drive them out. So if Yah didn't drive them out for the children of Israel, then we ain't even living in the land. This land don't even belong to us. He ain't driving them out here, but he can keep you in the midst of all of that. So yes, Yah, I want my family member to be out all these secret societies. I don't need you to destroy the society. You can keep your alphas and your kappas and your zetas, and you can keep your masons and whatever else, your sigma phi pies for my Europeans. You can keep all that stuff. But what I want y'all to do is to strengthen my heart, to keep my mind, so that even if those things seem enticing to me, that I don't fall victim to them. Keep me, Yah. I don't care about all the other stuff that's going on. Keep me. So the people's response was good. But the problem is, that's what I want to highlight, chapter 2, verse 10. And also, all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yah, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. If I did that right, we're going to look at it. Yep. All right. So what went wrong? Highlighted there's another generation of knew neither Adonai nor the work he had done for Israel. Uh-oh. There we go. The righteous generation do not teach their children the Torah. Righteous, yet they failed. They had one flaw. They didn't teach their kids Torah. How do we know? Because the kids didn't know Yah. They didn't even know the great things that he did. Let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 1 through 9. Deuteronomy 6, 1 through 9. Because it gives us instructions as parents or legal guardians or whatever you may be over your child. It gives you instructions about your children. Deuteronomy 6, 1 through 9, it says, now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yah your Elohim commanded to teach, you, that he might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it. That thou mightest fear Yah, thy Elohim, to keep all his statutes, all his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's sons, and all the days of thy life, that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yah, the Elohim of thy fathers, hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yah Elohim, Yah is one. And thou shalt love Yah thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command you to this day shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou rise up. And thou shalt bind them as a sign upon thy hand, and thou shalt be frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house and thy gates. The important part of there is verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. All right. So that was kind of the setup. That was the intro. Let's get into the message. All right. So choose your side. So the first thing to do when choose a side. Being in this way is not like all the other ways. See, I come from the Christian vernacular where you were taught Christianity. Scriptures. You were taught the scriptures as long as they defined and defended and somehow you screwed them and misscrewed them so they can fit your doctrine. But I wasn't taught the true unadulterated version of the scriptures. So you got to teach your children when you're on the side. Let's look at it. So I got a little Hebrew up here. Yeah. So when that entire generation had been gathered to thy ancestors, another generation arose that knew neither Adonai nor the work that he had done for Israel. Yael, can you, if you can see that, you tell me that orange or red, you know I'm colorblind, I don't know what color that is. Whatever color that is highlighted as not white. What would that say? Yadu. All right. So yada or yadu. So is a verb. Obviously, most of Hebrew words are. It's a primitive root. It is talking about know. So we go back to this. It says another generation arose that did not know neither Adonai. All right. So it's knowledge. They didn't perceive him. They didn't understand. They weren't acquainted with him. Right. This is kind of small here. Where we at? So when that generation had been gathered, arose of their fathers, another generation that did not know. Right here. Did not know. So we're looking at this word yada or yadu, and we see that as a verb, and we see that as the qual stem. All right. So the qual stem is it's kind of like the general, right? It's kind of like in general. Am I right? Hebrew students. All right. So we're going to look at the qual stem of this word. So to know. They didn't know. They didn't learn it. Didn't perceive them. Perceive, to see, to find out, to discern, discriminate, distinguish, to know, to by experience. You remember it says they did not experience him. They didn't know the great works that he did. Oh, no. They didn't recognize, admit, acknowledge, confess him. They didn't consider him. To know, to be acquainted. They weren't acquainted with him. They didn't know a person like carnally. He wasn't even like a part of their life. Like we wasn't close to him at all. To know how to be skilled. So they didn't even know how to get to him if they wanted to know him. They weren't taught. So they didn't have any knowledge. They weren't wise. So did this lack of knowing become perpetual in the generations to come? Did this lack of knowing become perpetual in the generations to come? So Shah, can you give me Hosea 2:8? Jeremiah, get me Isaiah 1:3. And Kelly, can you get me Hosea 4:6? So the question is, did this lack of knowing become perpetual in the generations to come? Yes, sir.
All right. Hosea 2:8. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal.
So they prepared something for Baal because what? They did not recognize, admit, acknowledge, confess. They didn't know him. They didn't know him. They did not know him. Yes. Isaiah 1:3. Isaiah 1:3.
Yeshayahu 1:3. The ox knows its owner. The donkey knows its crib.
Yeah.
But Israel does not know. My people do not consider.
My people do not consider. Hosea 4:6.
Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being my priest. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children.
Yeesh. So they have no knowledge. So it's sad that this lack of knowing became a perpetual thing in the children of Israel. It still exists today.
Yes, sir.
Because if you go tell some of your family members that, hey, cuz, hey, auntie, did you know that you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most? Oh, that's a curse. So I'm not gonna do. I ain't gonna flip my religion for that. So what you talking about? They have a lack of knowledge. They do not consider. They do not recognize, admit, acknowledge, or confess the God in which their ancestors said belonged to them. But instead, they have replaced, as Jeremiah would say, the Creator for something that's not even a God. Inherited lies. Every Sunday, you're being lied to. And I ain't just gonna pick on the Christians. Every Friday, they telling you that the Prophet Muhammad every Friday is the man. You being lied to. You in the Nation of Islam. You being lied to. You in these secret societies telling you that this ancestral something in the sky is controlling stuff. You don't know if it's the God of the Bible or not, but it's something. And we actually control it through our proximity of spirits and lighting and doing incantations and got candles all over the place. You're being lied to. Your lack of knowledge is destroying your people. So you want your people to be elevated? Follow the law. Go back to the ancient paths. Get to know your Elohim. You want your people not to be the highest percentage of folks behind bars? Quit all this marching and foolishness. I don't care about you marching. How long we been marching? We've been marching since Marcus Garvey came on to this country in the early 1900s. What that done for us? Nothing. Quit marching. Follow the law. Follow Torah. You want somebody to treat you more than 3/5 of a human being? Follow the law. It's funny that the same people that's treating you like 3/4 of a human being, you side by side marching with them. You voting for them. Follow the law. I'm gonna get to that too. So how to teach the children? How to teach the children? Uh-oh. We're gonna let it fall. It's okay. How to teach the children. All right. So when we talk about teaching or knowing or teaching, we usually talk about what's that word? Lamad. Lamad. So that is usually like the general form of teaching. And even in the Shema, it talks about lamad in the Pa'il form, which that's a little bit more intense than qual. So it's kind of an intense teaching, correct? Am I right, Hebrew students? All right. So a little bit more intense teaching. But here's the issue though. So the word that's used over here, where my stuff at? In Deuteronomy 6:1-9. That ain't that one. No. It ain't lamad. That ain't the word.
Oh my.
Shad, what's that word right there?
So that's
The highlight.
yeah, just not the whole thing.
Just the highlight.
Okay, so Shinan.
Shinan. You shall teach. So that word, and you shall teach them diligently is the whole word. That's like a phrase. But right here, Shanan is the word teach. You're better at this Hebrew stuff. You better watch out now. So Shanan. So if we go back, Pa'il form, intense. Shanan. So Shanan, a primitive root. So to sharpen, to teach incisively. All right. So what is that word incisive? What the heck is that? Incisive. So penetrating, cutting, biting, remarkably clear and direct, adapted for cutting or piercing. It's sharp, it's acute. It's talking about your incisors. That's your teeth that you use to cut up stuff. All right? Incisive teaching. This is intense kind of teaching. That reminded me of something. Hebrews 4:12, got up there for you. For the word of God is quick. It's powerful. Sharper. It's sharper. Right there, right in there. Sharpen. Right there, sharpen. It's sharper than any two-edged sword. Piercing. 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 Even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, of the joints and the marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts. This is what the word of God does. This is how the Most High teaches you. This is how Yeshua was teaching. That's why when he came on the scene and started teaching, folks instantly got mad. Because they're like, man, I feel some kind of way. I've been doing this for a long time. I come out of the Shiva of Hillel and Shammai, and I've been taught by Gamaliel, and you coming, man, you cutting me. I don't like it. That's why he would say, you brood of vipers. You look good on the outside, but inside is dead man's bones. He was cutting them to the heart. And even sometimes the cutting wasn't always bad, because we look at the men at the road of Emmaus and it's like, woo, he cut us. It felt good. Didn't our hearts burn? So his teaching was in a way that can cut and go deep all the way into the soul. That's the kind of teaching that Yeshua taught. That's how the word of God is taught. That's how when we look at on Mount Sinai, if you look at the Hebrew words, how Moses and Joshua, how it says, speak to the children of Israel. Oh, yeah. That speaking was a cutting into, getting into there, right? Hallelujah. So the Pael form to inculcate anything or anyone. So we're looking at the Hebrew, the Genius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, and it says to inculcate anything or anyone. So that's kind of the definition of what it means to shanan. And I didn't even know what that word inculcate means, so I had to look that up too. Inculcate. It says to instill an attitude, idea, or habit by persistent instruction. Wait a minute. To teach someone an attitude, idea, or habit by persistent instruction. So where did they go wrong with the children of Israel? And from the end of Joshua to Judges chapter 2, they did not persistently teach their children in a way that cut them, in a way that it went down into their soul. So those who have kids, y'all got kids coming. And this is not just for children. Yeah. But this is for folks who ain't in the way. Anybody. This is how you should be teaching them when it comes to the word. Feelings aside. Yeah. This thing will cut you. Come on. So it's not just, Jesus wept and he was in a manger and all the three wise men. And no, I'm about to get down to the nitty gritty. You're sinful. You dirty. You're nasty. You need to be cleaned up. Come on now. That's why he came. Because if we were perfect people, he would have never had to come down from the Shamayim. He'd have been chilling up there forever. But no, he said, I come for those who are sick. Yes. You're sick. Yes. And that's why he had to teach in this manner. Because sometimes, and I notice, and I haven't been in the hospital a lot of times. I don't like going to the hospital. And thank God, a lot of my people, my family haven't experienced sickness. But I do know when somebody is sick, like they're not really there. So either you drugged out of your mind trying to get rid of the pain, or the pain is so intense, or the sickness is so intense that stuff can be going on around you. You can be completely oblivious. That's the same when you're spiritually sick too. You are oblivious of the stuff that's going on around you. You don't understand that when you're going in them church pews, you listening to and sitting next to demons. You don't even see it. Because when you're in the same dark room as somebody else, everybody's sitting in the darkness. And the dark has become so used to the dark. Like in my house, the power can go out and I can navigate my house like back of my hand. I don't need to see. I got used to being in the dark of my house. I know the makeup of my house. So you done got so used to these false religions that you don't even realize you're in the dark. Because you think that just because you navigating around okay, that you in the light. Come on. Just because you don't bump into the walls don't mean the light's on. Come on. So choosing the side. So we have to teach our children. There's an intense form of teaching that has to go on. That breaks through the bone and the marrow, breaks through the head, the mind. Don't care about feelings and all that stuff. It's the truth. Yeah. And the truth will set you free, but it'll hurt you too. So secondly, choosing a side, and we're almost done. So choosing a side and choosing this side this way, you have to understand that your sin, your transgression, and your iniquity impact your neighbor. We do not live in vacuums. Everything we do impacts the people that we're close to and that we know. So sin, transgression, iniquity, and we learned this last Sabbath, are not the same. But any one of these can and will have an impact on those around you. So sin equals missing the mark, going wrong, miss the way. Memori said, if you're sinning, the point is to stay in and not miss the mark. Transgression equals rebellion, and iniquity equals perversity or depravity. So like he said, although these are all jumbled in the same and used interchangeably, they are not at all the same things. All right. So in this way, we must first think before we act or speak. So these are things that we must think about before we do an action, before some words come out of our mouth, before we go certain places. Do these actions or words agree with Yah's Torah? Do these actions or words agree with Yah's Torah? Stop thinking about, let's change our thinking, will I get away with it or will Yah forgive me? I'm going to do it because, he's a forgiving God. I'm going to get away. Ain't nobody going to know. Right? We have to change our mindset. It's not whether or not will God forgive you. It's do these things, actions or words agree with his Torah? And then when faced with temptation, start asking, how will this fall impact my relationship with Yah? And how will it impact those around me? So when we're faced with temptation, we have the opportunity to go into darkness. You have to stop and ask yourself, how will this impact my relationship with the Most High? What will this do to my family and those close to me, around me? All right. Some may think that their actions don't impact others, that they are individuals amongst the many. Let's look at a few people in the scriptures whose actions had an unfortunate impact on those around them, So first one is Joshua chapter 7. I'll get that one because it's quite long. Joshua chapter 7. Let's see here. And Shad, if you can get me Numbers 16, 1 through 35. And then Kelly, if you can get me Genesis 6, 1 through 13. So Joshua chapter 7. So Joshua chapter 7, starting at the first verse. It says, but the children of Israel committed a trespass and a cursing thing, for Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zebedee, the son of Zerath of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing. And the anger of Yah was kindled against the children of Israel. And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bethven on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, go up and view the country. And the men went and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So there went up a thither of people, about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. The men of Ai smote of them about 36 men. So 36 men died. For they chased them from before the gate even unto Shebarim, and smote them in the going down. Wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. And Joshua rent his clothes. We learned that today in the men's group in Torah. If you wasn't there, you missed out. But what rent clothes means, you're going to have to ask Brother Shabanya what that's about. That's a good thing. Very good lesson this morning, Shabanya. Like that. And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of Yah until the eventide, and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. Joshua said, alas, O Yah Elohim, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us? Would to Elohim we have been content and dwelt on the other side of Jordan, O Yah, what shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us around, and cut off our name from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? And Yah said unto Joshua, get thee up. Wherefore liest thus upon thy face? Israel has sinned. So remember now, verse 1, it says Achan took something that did not belong. One man. But when Yah came down to speak with Joshua, he said, no. Israel has sinned, not Achan. Israel has sinned. They have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them, for they have taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dismantled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy the accursed from among you. Up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus saith Yah, Elohim of Israel, there is an accursed thing in the midst of thee. O Israel, thou canst not stand before thine enemies until thou take away the accursed thing from among you. So in the morning, therefore, ye shall be brought according to their tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which Yah taketh shall come according to the family thereof. And the family which Yah shall take shall come by households, and the households which Yah shall take shall come man by man. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, he and all he hath, because he hath transgressed the covenant of Yah, and because he hath wrought folly in Israel. So Joshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zerahs, and he brought the family of the Zerahs man by man, and Zebedee was taken. And he brought his household man by man. And Achan, the son of Carmi, son of Zebedee, son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to Yah, Elohim of Israel, and make confession unto him. Tell me now, what hast thou done? Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against Yah, Elohim of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils of goodly Babylonian garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold and 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them, and behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them into Joshua and into all the children of Israel, and laid them out before Yah. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan and the son of Zebedee, and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters and his oxen and his asses and his sheep and his tent and all that he had. And they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? And Yah shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones, and burned them with fire. So not only did they stone Achan, but they burned his family and all of his possessions. And after they had stoned them with stones, and they rise over him a great heap of stones with his day unto this day. So Yah turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place is called the Valley of Achor unto this day. So when Achan took something he wasn't supposed to take, when he was disobedient, when he transgressed the covenant of Yah, he impacted those who were around him. His family died. His possessions were burnt up. 33 men of Israel died because of something that he did. So you are not an individual amongst the multitude of people. What you do has an impact on the person next to you. Who'd I say get number 16, 135? Shah, go ahead.
All right, Midbar 16, starting at verse 1. And it says, now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, and the sons of Eliab and the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben, took men. They rose up before Moshe with the certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them. And the Lord is among them, wherefore then lift you up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord. And when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, Even tomorrow Yahuwah will shew who are his, and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him, even him whom he hath chosen will he cause to come near unto him. This do, take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before Yahuwah tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom Yahuwah doth choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi. And Moshe said unto Korah, Hear I pray you, ye sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them. And he hath brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee, and seek ye the priesthood also, for which cause both thou and all thy company are gathered together against Yahuwah. And what is our Aaron that ye murmur against him? And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, We will not come up. Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, except thou make thyself altogether a prince over us? Moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land that floweth with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. And Moshe was very wroth, and said unto Yahuwah, Respect not thou their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. And Moshe said unto Korah, Be thou and all thy company before Yahuwah, before the Lord, thou and thy and Aaron tomorrow, and take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring ye before the Lord every man his censer, 250 censers. Thou also and Aaron, each of you his censer. And they took every man his censer, and put fire in them, and laid incense thereon, and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against him unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the congregation. And the Lord spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and wilt thou be wroth with all the congregation?
Oh, yes, he will.
And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moshe rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins.
Yes.
So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, Hereby ye shall know that Yahuwah hath sent me to do all these works. For I have not done them of my own mind. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahuwah hath not sent me. But if Yahuwah make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked Yahuwah. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground claved asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up. and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit. And the earth closed upon them,
My goodness.
and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also.
Yeah.
And there came out a fire from Yahuwah and consumed the 250 men that offered incense.
You are not an individual amongst a multitude of people. Thank you for reading that, Shah. I know there was a lot. Appreciate it. Did a great job. So we saw that Korah and Dathan, they got kind of indignant. Hey, Moses, you doing too much. Let us get a piece of that pie. You do it better than you can do it. Moses like, all right, cool. Just know that I don't do this for my own health. I'm doing this because the Most High told me to. He ain't commissioned you. So if you do it, you'll be sinning. You'll be out of step. You'll be out of the way. But if you choose to do that, do you, partner? So he wanted to do him. Live his best life. Choose his own way. Not the way, but choose his own way. Ain't that some of us? Used to be me. Used to be some of us sitting here today. Yeah. What happened to him? The Most High got to him. And not just him, because it said in verse 1 that he chose men of renown. He wasn't stupid men. These weren't simple men. And 250, along with his wife and kids, little ones, all died because of his sins, transgressions, and his rebellion. So the first thing we saw was a sin. Achan, he stepped out of the way. The next thing we saw was rebellion. Korah thought he could do better than the prophet Moses. And next we'll look at Genesis 6, 1 through 13.
Genesis 6, verse 1. Bereshit 6, verse 1. Now it came about when men began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves whomever they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he also is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of men was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. The Lord said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, from man to animals to creeping things and to birds of the sky, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. These are the records of the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his time. Noah walked with God. Noah became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in the sight of God, and the earth was filled with violence. God looked on the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth. Then God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with the violence because of them. And behold, I am about to destroy them with the earth.
So we just saw 3 examples of sin, transgression, and iniquity. Sin, Achan missed the way. Transgression, Korah rebelled. In Genesis 6, 1 through 13, the world was depraved. Sin, transgression, iniquity. And they affect everybody. So the sins of the Nephilim and these men and these daughters and these women, it brought about the destruction of every single man, woman, child, thing, every living thing on earth. All right. So don't just not sin. So it's not good enough to just not sin. It ain't good enough. Or to transgress or commit iniquity. Do the things that are right in the eyes of Yah, that are laid out in his Torah, the prophets, the writings, and the example Yeshua gives us. Here, we're about to read, is an example of someone who did the right thing and it had a great impact on the people. So I just want to focus on these rebellious folks who just sin all the time. But I want to show that even you and I, as regular human beings, can do the right thing and have a positive impact on the people around us. So you coming to Shabbat, keep coming. You thinking that it ain't nobody looking, nobody in your family's changing, there's no heart change, there's no mind transformation. You never know what the Most High is doing behind the scenes. You never know what you even coming to Shabbat, sacrificing your Saturdays, looks like to your family. They may tell you to your face, yeah, you weird, you crazy. You ain't gonna come to the basketball game. You ain't coming to the birthday party. You ain't coming to whatever it is. Like, no, I got Shabbat. No, I got feast days. I can't make it. And they say, oh, that's weird. They may treat you some kind of way. But no, y'all's working something in the background. You're not eating weird stuff anymore. People look at you funny. Keep doing it. Y'all's working something in the background. Keep doing the right thing. Judges 3:12 through 30. So this is by far number one, outside, of course, of Yah and Yeshua, my favorite in the judge by the name of Ehud. By far my favorite person in all the scripture. Ehud was a little different. Ehud was a little strange. We're going to read about it. So Judges chapter 3, starting in verse 12. It says, and the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yah. And Yah strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of Yah. And he gathered unto him the children of Amnon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried unto Yah, Yah raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, son of Gererah, Benjamite, a man left-handed. So left-handed is very important, because even as today, in today's world, the common hand was to be right-handed, but he was left-handed. That's important. You're going to see why in a second. So he was different. He looked different. He was set apart. He wasn't like everybody else. Everybody else right-handed. This man was left-handed. We know that was strange and different because the Bible mentioned it. He left-handed. All right. And by him, the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his remnant upon his right thigh. So I did a little studying on this. So because the majority of the world was right-handed, and when the king had parties and stuff, and he would invite strange people because he didn't know everybody he invited, it's his kingdom. So when you came to the door of the kingdom, there was still a checkpoint, just like there is today. You know, we got scanners and all this other stuff. But because most of the world was right-handed, they knew most people would carry their weapon on their left thigh. It's easy access. Boom. I got it. Ready to roll. Most people were not left-handed, so they did not regularly check the right thigh for a dagger or a weapon. And the guy say, hey, put your hands out, whatever. They check on your left thigh, ain't nothing there, ain't nothing around. Just say, go ahead and you good. But because Ehud was different from everybody else, he gained access into the courts of his enemy with a weapon that can kill him, because he was different than everybody else. So you wondering why you still being controlled by and oppressed by the enemy? Why the enemy's still up in your house? Why the enemy's still up in your family? Because you haven't set yourself apart. You have to be set apart. You have to be a little bit different than the rest of this world in order to go into the courts of your enemies with the weapon that can destroy him, as Ehud is. So Judges 12, where was I at? Where did I stop at? 16, yeah. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his remnant upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries and were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret arraigned unto thee, O king, who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he rose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand and took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust him into his belly. So the messages that we have from Elohim, the word of Elohim, the message should smite our enemies, should cut our enemies. When we're doing the right thing, our enemies fall. The nations around us melt. They begin to become afraid of us because of the God that we serve. That was a promise that Elohim gave us. And Ehud put forth his left hand and took his dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the door of the parlor upon him and locked him. Smooth assassin. And when he was gone out of his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, surely he covereth his feet in his summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed, and behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key and opened them, and behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried and passed beyond the quarries and escaped unto Serath. And it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for Yah hath delivered your enemies the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, all men of valor that were escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years. So 80 years they had rest because one man chose to do, one man chose to do the right thing. One man chose to do the very right thing. So just like when you sin, commit transgression, iniquity has a negative impact on those around you. When you decide to come into this way, when you choose this side, it begins to have a positive impact among the people around you, even if they ain't in this way. Because there was a certain somebody that we prayed for, that Morey told about today, that we've been praying for a certain somebody, and they were sick. And these doctors have told that somebody, hey, you've been touched by God. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that kid was touched by God and that we, those who follow Torah, was praying for him. So even those who are not in the way can be positively impacted by the good you do. How do I know? Because the children of Israel are still wicked. Next chapter, they're gonna be wicked all over again. But these judges keep popping up and doing the right thing and saving them. All right. So how do we turn the corner? James 5:16, from our sin, iniquity, and transgression. Therefore, openly acknowledge your sins to one another and pray for each other so that you may be healed. You got to confess it. You can't conquer nothing you ain't willing to confess. You got to confess it. The prayer of a righteous person, Yahoo, was only a human being like us, yet he prayed fervently that it might not rain, and no rain fell on the land for 3 years and 6 months. Then he prayed again, and heaven gave rain, and the land produced its crops. My brothers, if one of you wanders from the truth, and someone causes him to return, you should know that whoever turns a sinner from his wandering path will save him from death and cover many sins. I remember when I came into the way, one of my cousins brought me into this way, and I had to call her one day. I said, hey, cuz, according to James 5, like, you saved me from death. I appreciate that. Like, that's not a small thing. So a lot of us has turned from the way. Some of us don't even know it. Some of our family members don't know there is a way. They don't know there was another way outside of Christianity, another way outside of Islam, another way outside of whatever false god that they worshiping. They don't know there's another way, but when we turn them We save them from death and cover many sins. We turn the corner from our sin, transgression, iniquity by doing the right Ehud. And doing the right thing ain't good enough. We got to go get the other people too that turned around, that turned away from the way. Those other sinners, that's transgression and iniquity and sin marks their life. We got to go consistently and persistently teach them Torah as well so that they can turn, so they can be healed. All right. So choosing the side, not only do we need to teach our children and those who are not in the way, not only does your sin, transgression, and iniquity impact your neighbor, but we can't waver. We have to choose a side. Can't be going back and forth and back. One day I'm in a way. One day I'm gung ho about the Sabbath. Next day I ain't really feeling it. I don't want to come to Shabbat no more. You got to pick a side. You got to choose a side. This is not if and ands and when I feel like it. Sometimes I tell you something. I don't feel like getting up on Saturday. I worked 6 10-hour shifts this week. I'm tired. That don't mean nothing when it compares to what Yah has already done for me. So if he has brought my people up out of Egypt with a strong hand, if he woke me up this morning, if he gave us land that we consistently said we didn't want by our actions, but he still allowed a remnant to stay alive, it didn't kill them, and we're scattered into all these countries, but he allowed me to wake up and know about the way and come back to Torah. It's a small thing for me to show up today compared to the stuff he done for me. No matter how I feel, I owe him. He don't owe me nothing. I owe him. So, Black History Month. So it's the last day of Black History Month. We can't end it without mentioning old MLK. So we're gonna read some few things. And the last one was talking about not wavering, right? So if you don't know a lot about Martin Luther King, his pet peeve was folks that wavered. He's like, listen, are y'all in this or y'all not? I ain't tripping about KK. I know where they stand. I ain't tripping about these jokers that's sicking dogs on me, getting water hoses on me, throwing rocks at me, throwing me in prison. I know exactly where they stand. You know what? And I respect them. He got a whole book called Letters from a Birmingham Jail. You should read it. He got mad respect for them people. You know why? Because they stand on what they believe. His issue was for the people who said that they believed something, but never acted upon it. See some of the quotes he made. He said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Thank you. Words are jumbling. Controversy. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he, oh, wait. I missed it. Hope it don't keep repeating. There we go. He who passively accepts evil is just as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetuate it. Without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. I think that's one of them quotes that probably got him shot. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. So are we not in some great moral conflict? You know, they about to give y'all a $1,400 stimulus check. You know what else they passed in that law? Why everybody, stimulus check. Yeah, but now you, me, and you, we can't exercise our rights to tell people that they sinning if they LGBT. They have even more protections now. Yeah, you got your money. Yeah, they also passing evil laws too. So nothing's free. Happy Black History Month. So being in the way is not a spectator sport. You can't watch from the sidelines. Either you are with those who strive to be righteous, or you are with those who seek evil and darkness. There are no fences to straddle on in this way. You're either in, or you're out. We almost finished. So Ephesians 5:11. Ephesians 5:11. Jeremiah, can you get me 1 John 2:15 through 17? Kelly, can you get me James 4:4? Nina, can you get me 1 John 2, 4, and 6? And Yael, can you get me 1 Kings 18, 21?
All right, Ephesians 5 and 11. It says, and have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them.
So don't have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, reprove them or expose them, expose darkness. 1 John 2, 15 through 17.
First Yochanan 2, 1 2, 15. Do not love the world or love the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
That's right.
For all that is of the in the world,
You're right.
the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Yeah.
And the world is passing away in the lust of it, but he who does the will of Elohim abides forever.
Abides forever. Hallelujah. James 4 and 4.
James 4 and 4, you adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility toward God?
Yeah.
Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God.
You need to choose a side. Don't waver. 1 John 2, 4 through 6.
1 John 2, 4 through 6. Anyone who says, I know him, but isn't obeying his commands is a liar. The truth is not in him. But if someone keeps doing what he says, then truly love for God has been brought to its goal in him. This is now, this is how we are sure that we are united with him. A person who claims to be continuing in union with him ought to conduct his life in the way he did.
Absolutely. And then 1 Kings 18, 21.
1 Kings 18 and 21. Eliyahu stepped forward before all the people and said, how long are you going to jump back and forth between two positions? If Adonai is God, follow him.
Yep.
But if it's Baal, follow him. The people answered him not a word.
So if you're going to follow Adonai, Hashem, Yah, the creator of this world, follow him. If you believe that he is God, follow him. All of what he commanded, not just from Matthew to Revelation, everything, his Torah as well, if you believe that he is truly God. But if you don't, and by some of our actions, we do not, keep following whatever you want to follow and see where that leads you. But in this way, you have to choose a side. You cannot waver back and forth. You either in or you're out. Back to our last verse here, just as a reminder, Yehoshua 24:15. If it seems bad to you to serve Adonai, then choose today whom you're going to serve. Will it be the gods your ancestors served beyond the river? So you're going to keep serving these strange gods beyond the Atlantic Ocean that we never knew? Or the gods of Emri, in whose land you are living? As for me and my household, we will serve Adonai. Yah, we thank and we praise you. For you are good and your mercy truly endures forever. Father, I pray that as we continue in this way, that you strengthen us, that you guide us, that you lead us, that you teach us in a way that pierces our hearts, that cuts us, that gets down to the bone and the marrow and the soul of our body. That as we're tempted each and every day in this dark and evil world, that we do not forget you and the wonderful things that you have done for our people. Father, I pray now that you be the only Elohim that we worship. You be the only Elohim that we acknowledge. Father, I pray now that even as we walk this world, Father, that we realize that we are full of sin, we are full of transgression, we're full of iniquity. And we need you to wash us and we need you to cleanse us. We need your son, Yahshua, to forever be an advocate for us and intercede for us in the heavenly places as the nations are on his shoulders, as the 12 tribes are on his shoulders, and he comes to you each and every day pleading and begging for our forgiveness. Father, I pray that you hear him Not that you hear him, Father, but you transform our hearts, you transform our minds, you give us the capacity and the desire to want to do the right thing, not just not do the wrong thing, but want to do the right thing. So the people around us can be changed and transformed just as we are. And Father, I pray that we not waver between two opinions and two decisions, that if you be the God of creation, the God of Israel, that we truly serve you and devote ourselves to you and you alone. But if not, Father, I pray that you show those who don't believe that the true light and who you truly are through all of your Torah, your prophets, your writing, and your apostolic writings as well, and the character of Yeshua, that on this day, that we choose a side, that we choose the way, your laws, your statutes, your commandments, your Torah, both in written form and the one that walked around in flesh, Yeshua HaMashiach, was obedient unto death and now sits at the right hand of you, interceding for us each and every day, and we thank you. I pray all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's mighty name. I pray, Father, that you watch over us as we leave this place, Father, that you protect our cars and our vehicles, Father, that no hurt, harm, and danger come nigh or near to us, Father, that even as we sleep on tonight, Father, that you watch over us and protect us. Keep your angels forever around us, Father, that we may wake up on tomorrow, Father, and continue to bless your name. Yeshua HaMashiach's mighty name. Amen.